Your monthly subscription box from postflybox.com includes all the materials needed to tie a dozen flies, along with some extra goodies. Here's a great little pattern for bass and panfish that relies on contrasting colors and a ton of motion to grab a fish's attention. It's also designed to ride hook point up to lessen fouling on the bottom. The foundation of the fly is a nice strong size 6 hook. Get the hook firmly secured in the jaws of your tying vise. Then, load a bobbin with the chartreuse portion of spooled thread. Get the thread started on the hook shank in back of the hook eye, and after taking a dozen or so wraps rearward, wrap forward to about an eye length and a half behind the back edge of the hook eye. Then, snip the excess tag off close. Pick up one of the pairs of bead chain eyes and place it diagonally, directly above your tying thread, then begin taking cross wraps to secure it. Follow these with yoke wraps that go over top of the eyes on either side of the hook, but under the hook shank. You kind of want to do a mini tug of war side to side. This really helps to lock the eyes down tight. Follow these wraps with circular flat wraps that go underneath the eyes but above the hook shank. This will draw all the previous wraps in under the eyes to lock them down even further. End with your tying thread at the back edge of the eyes. Before moving on, make sure the eyes sit flat on top of the hook shank and are perpendicular to it. Pick up one of the strands of pearl mylar. Place one end above your tying thread and begin taking wraps to secure it to the near side of the hook all the way back to the start of the hook bend. Then make open spiral wraps forward up the shank to behind the eyes. Now, pick up one of the strands of fluorescent yellow floss and use wraps of tying thread to secure it to the hook shank all the way back to the start of the bend. Once again, end with your tying thread at the back edge of the bead chain eyes. Get hold of the floss and begin making slightly overlapping wraps with it to create a bright little body on the fly. Anchor the floss behind the eyes with tight wraps of tying thread, then snip the excess floss off close. Get hold of the mylar and begin making open spiral, evenly spaced wraps with it up the hook shank. Here too, secure it with tight wraps of tying thread behind the eyes and snip the excess off close. Flip the fly upside down in the jaws of your tying vise to allow better access to the underside of the hook for the next few steps. Get hold of one of the white marabou feathers and strip off an inch-long segment of fibers by squeezing them tight and pulling the remainder of the feather away. Although not absolutely essential, if you like, you can use your thumbnail to tear off the long stringy tips of the fibers, leaving just an inch or so of the fluffy stuff remaining. Measure so the fibers extend about a hook gap length beyond the back of the hook bend, then begin securing the fibers with wraps of tying thread behind the eyes. Once the fibers are secure, reach in with your tying scissors and carefully snip the butt ends off nice and close, so the fly looks something like this. Now, do the same with a similar sized clump of fluorescent yellow marabou fibers. Align the tips of these fibers with those of the previous clump, then secure them and trim them off in the same manner. With both clumps locked into place, start taking cross wraps to cover up the butt ends of the fibers on both the top and bottom of the fly. Once everything's covered up, reach for your whip finish tool and use it to do a 5 or 6 turn whip finish, seat the knot well, and snip your tying thread free. If you like, flip the fly back to its normal orientation in your tying vise, then get hold of some head cement, here Sally Hansen hard as nails. Coat all the exposed thread wraps with the adhesive. Once the adhesive dries, the fly is ready to fish. Remember that it's going to ride in this orientation with the hook point up and the bead chain eyes adding a nice jiggy motion as the fly is retrieved.